Hi there and welcome to day 24. We're in the last week, Wealth Week, where we're going to be doing everything business related. But before we go into the really good stuff about automation and business, we're going to go in how to find a mentor. And this is one of the most common questions that I get from startups. Where do I start? What do I do? So my main thing that I always advise people to do is to go local. Of course, many people watch YouTube, many people go on these cool conferences and think that they need this multi-millionaire mentor to teach them how to become a millionaire. And yes, in some ways it's true. If you want to become a millionaire, then your mentor should be a millionaire, or your friends should be millionaires. You're only as good as the people that surround you. But what I always advise and what I've been getting as advice from my mentors is always look just in front of you. You have to see what your problem is at the moment, and then you have to fix that problem. And there's always someone who's been there, and then you just ask that person that got there, and then you just move on like that until at one point you're gonna hit some kind of number that was your dream, and then still you're gonna want to grow. So for now, I want you to think about it locally, or if you can on the internet, get an accountability buddy, what I said. But let's look into how do you get real mentors, the mentors that are amazing. And I'm just gonna get really practical with you on the way I would go at it and the way I already did with my mentors. I'm gonna take a couple of examples that are not my mentors. That way you're gonna see my thought process through the entire process, and we'll see how to go. So we're gonna go into the website right now. So we're on this website. Now the main thing that you're gonna notice is you've jumped on this website and you see me pretty much. There's a TEDx Rotterdam speech and there's a sign up sheet. So if we go now, for instance, to Tim Ferriss, we go to 4hourworkweek.com. We got to the blog, just a second, let's go to the 4-hour work week. So what you notice here again is he also has a sign-up sheet. Let's go to many of you love for business, Gary Vaynerchuk. So let's go into Gary Vaynerchuk. Here we have garyvaynerchuk.com, and what do you see? There's also a sign-up sheet and also Snapchat. Imagine I would want to go for Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I'm not at the moment he's too far away from me. I think he's also way too busy unless he would invest in me. I don't think there would be a good trade in mentorship, but many people like that. So how about let's go into that. The one commonality that you notice with all these people is that they all have subscribe sheets. And the one thing that you should always remember is first give value before you want to receive it back. And do it with 100%, no expectations. So you sign up to either of those sheets and then you just follow them for a couple of months and you try to realize what they're on about. You give as much value as possible. You give as much value so that at one point they know who you are. That's the main thing. So he has Snapchat and he has email. So you send him an email back. Hey Gary, it's your #1 fan. That's Neil Patel gave me that advice, right? Always, it's your #1 fan. So, hey Gary, it's your #1 fan. Really like the email that you wrote today. Give like tiny little bits. Really good stuff. On Snapchat, hey Gary, really like the Snapchat today. Same with Tim Ferriss. Now, Tim Ferriss gets way too many emails. Gary gets way too many emails. So you can do that, but if you do it over a couple of months, every week he'll be sending an email, every day he'll be Snapchatting. If you do it maybe once or twice, he'll pop up on his radar, right? That's enough. Because then, if you really want to get to someone like that, at one point you're going to get a little bit bigger. And then we're going to go into, and this is the main thing that you're going to see as commonalities as well, is all these people do events. They do all speaking gigs. So for people that are that big, you need to invest. And that's what I did with my mentors, and I write that in my book. I went to New York to visit my mentor because that was the closest thing to Europe that he was going to be here. So we see here events, and we see he's in Mexico, Boston, Lisbon, and so on. Let's assume we're from New York. If we're from New York, then we're going to pick Boston. We're going to pick maybe Mexico City if it's not too far. We're going to pick New York, maybe Orlando. We're not going to pick Canada, unfortunately. Maybe, I don't know. So you pick the closest things to Gary. And then you just go to those events and you make sure that somehow you stand out from the crowd, whether it's a really bright t-shirt or you just go up to him. I always had the boldness that you can say, and this is what you need to have, the boldness to just go and speak to them. Because if you can really provide them value with something, which is time, for instance, Gary is super busy. He doesn't have time. So if you provide him time, he'll be very interested. So now we know his events, we know his platforms, and we know where he is. So now it's all about the long game. You're going to be patient and you're going to provide him a lot of value. And then when you see him at an event, you say, hey, I've seen you before. And then you just do the number one rule of attraction, which is, what is attraction? Attraction is investment of time and effort. So you need to make sure that there's time and effort on his part also invested in you. And then you guys can actually start bonding. The only difference between acquaintances and really good friends is time and effort. So that's what you need to do. So how do you stand out? By making sure that Gary has time and effort to spend on you. So how do you do that with someone that is so high net worth? By actually spending money to get around him. You go to the events that you know he's at. Now, in the beginning, this is in the first 5 minutes, right? These are the things that I know he's at. But I'm pretty sure that if you start Googling, if you start following his daily V, that you really know where he's at. Someone, for instance, like Casey Neistat, he vlogs daily, so you would kind of know exactly where he's at or can predict where he's at. For instance, if he tells you, tomorrow I'm traveling there, there, and there. So now you start building up time and effort, and this is how you start getting attention from your mentors. Now, this is really big. Like I said, don't go really big, go really practical. Go somewhere locally. Go to a networking event and find investors. That's the best way how I did it. You find people that are 40, 50, 60 years old. I usually try not to go above 60 just because then most of the entrepreneurs or investors are on a pension and they seem to be less invested. So I go about 40, 50 years old and I approach them and then I start just asking a couple of questions. And then I make sure to go consistently to the same events that those people go to. And I do the exact same process that I just outlined with you. And I make sure that time and effort is spent. So never close on the first time if you're finding a mentor. Now, there are some other stories where I have stories from a good friend of mine that did donut drops. So he would go and order donuts, go into an office, ask the secretary, he would Google the name of the CEO before and say to the secretary, hey, I'm here for Rick to drop off these donuts. And then he would go to the CEO and grab the attention that way. That's also possible. You can be sometimes really direct, the way I did it. But if they are very time-consumed individuals, high net worth individuals, you need to be more subtle and you need to show them that you are way more invested, that you've invested actual time and effort to be there and to stand out of the crowd before they actually decide that they will give you time and effort back. Or another option is you actually, so you have to provide them value once you get them, right? But another option is you just pay them. And this is the option that I've actually started choosing lately and that most of my mentors that start earning money actually choose all the time. And the reason why is I don't believe that if you start doing for free, that it will be the same kind of effort. Because they will kind of have advice for you, but it's not going to be the same as if you would pay them. Because once you start paying them, the dynamics change. You're in charge now and you're there to have some kind of result. So the moment you pay them, their full focus is there and they have to deliver. Because if they don't deliver, it's a bad rep for them. And so not only are they now invested in you, they know that you are their client. Even though after that you're not a client anymore, you are their client forever. So if you then want to meet up again, it's easier. So I always advise to actually start paying so that you're super invested, but they are way more invested than if it would be free. Now, if you don't have the budget for that, then you can go this way. You get to know the person, and then you just start asking a little bit of advice. And here comes the main bit of everything that I'm talking about. Go and apply it and then share it. Apply and share, because once it's shared, then he'll respect you for following his advice, because not many people follow advice and actually share it. That is my main sharing for today. Go apply, share it, and message the person. Message it, share it with him so that he knows that you apply it. With that, I want to close this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's my way of how you can find a mentor. Thank you very much.